What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another FPL video on the channel. And in today's one, we are going to be looking at my team selection for double game week 33. But of course, before we do get into that, let's have a quick review on how we performed in game week 32. And as you guys can see, we did get a score of 83 points, which did mean I got a green arrow up to 405k. But I'm going to be totally honest with you guys, I still don't know how to feel. And even though I did get a green arrow, I still do feel a little bit upset with my poor decision making, right? I made a massive mistake, and that was going for Anthony Gordon on my game week 30 wildcard over Jacob Murphy, right? An absolutely stinky, terrible, horrific decision. Honestly, I just cannot get over that after seeing Jacob Murphy absolutely cook against Crystal Palace. After seeing Jacob Murphy get 19 points across this double game week. Oh, man, I can't lie, bro. It hurts. It hurts, but I've only got myself to blame, right? I've only got myself to blame. Anthony Gordon was clearly injured. I shouldn't have picked him on my wild card. I should have just picked Jacob Murphy. He was there, he was fit, he was available. It's simple as that. So yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit of a tough one to take. But like I said, bro, I've only got myself to blame. So it is what it is. I gotta hold that breath. I gotta hold that. But yeah, I will say going for Eddie Howe as my assistant manager definitely helped, man. 23 points overall across the double is absolutely sensational, breath. Yeah, absolutely sensational. So yeah, man, really happy I went Eddie Howe. And also, I just want to say, get well soon to Eddie Howe, man. Hopefully he does recover well. But yeah, man, triple Palace attack didn't really work out in the end. Eze, absolute fraud, missed a penalty against Newcastle, man. Very annoying, I'm not gonna lie. But he ended up on 6 points. Ismail Assar on 7. Big boy, or should I say little boy, Jean-Philippe Mateta ending up on 2 points. He absolutely stunk out the place, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, man, look, it is what it is. We move, man. Overall, 83 points, a green arrow up to 405k. We take it, and hopefully we can just push on and can continue getting those green arrows. But with that being said, let's just move on to my team selection for double game week 33. All right, guys, so before we do get into my team selection, let's have a quick run through of what my transfer plans are. And as you guys can see, the plan does remain the same, right? It is to take out Eddie Howe and bring in Mikel Arteta, and it is also to take out Anthony Gordon and bring in Morgan Rogers. Now, first things first, I do quickly want to discuss Arteta. The reason why I do want to go for Arteta, number one, first and foremost, is because I don't really trust any other outfield Arsenal player, right, to start both games. Even Bukayo Saka and Merino. There would be the two options I would consider for my third Arsenal slot. But I don't really trust Bukayo Saka to start both games, right? And I don't trust Merino to start both games. I don't think I can guarantee that, right? So with that being said, I think it makes sense for me to use my third Arsenal slot on Arteta. And another reason is simply because of the fixtures. Ipswich away and Palace at home. I feel like it's the best set of fixtures in game week 33. I don't think there's any other good table bonus opportunities to gamble on. So with that being said, I just think it makes the most sense to really go for Arteta. I think he's got two very nice games, you know, Ipswich away. I feel like that's going to be the tougher game. Honestly, Arsenal at home to Palace, I feel like is the easier game, especially given Crystal Palace's recent form. But also that game against, that second game midweek, right, for Crystal Palace is just a few days before they play in the FA Cup semi-final. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do decide to rotate a few players and therefore field a weaker team. And yeah, that basically just means I think Arsenal do win that game pretty comfortably. So yeah, man, overall, you know, as discussed in my transfer plans video, I do really like Arteta this week, and I do think he is the best assistant manager to go for. So yeah, I'll be going for Mikel Arteta this week in game week 33. So hopefully he does get the job done. But also Morgan Rogers, right? Morgan Rogers. I'm definitely going to take out Anthony Gordon. Now with Morgan Rogers, I do like him. However, I am considering maybe going for someone else like Marcus Rashford. But at the same time, I just don't know if I can talk myself in to bringing in a player like Marcus Rashford, right? Because I don't know, is he going to start both games? Right? If I'm going to pick a player that's got a double game week, I want to be confident that they're going to start back-to-back games in this double game week, right? Especially if I'm using the transfer to bring them in for this week. And I don't know if Rashford, like at the moment, it does seem like Rashford is Aston Villa's favourite starting number 9. However, Aston Villa again, they play Newcastle on Saturday. They then play Man City on Tuesday, and then again on the Saturday they've got an FA Cup semi-final. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ollie Watkins starts one of these 2 games across this double game week. And to be honest with you guys, so far Emery has shown that he won't start Rashford and Watkins together, right? So if Watkins is going to start, it means that Rashford will most likely be benched. And because I do believe Watkins will start one of the games, I obviously believe that Rashford will get benched in one of the games. So I don't think I can make a case to bring in Rashford for this double. So I might just have to play it safe, and I'm just going to play it safe and bring in Morgan Rogers. But a part of me does want to pick someone else, maybe a differential, but I just can't really think of anyone else, really. I think in terms of players that aren't already in my team, there's no one else that I would really want that has a double game week that I can trust to start both games, if I'm being totally honest with you. Even with Man City, I mean, Man City, I've got Marmoush, I've got Cousinov, I've got Foden. Cousinov and Foden aren't even guarantees already, but even outside of those 2 players, whether it's De Bruyne, Savinho, Doku, these players, I just don't know if I can trust to start both games. So, yeah, for me, I just think Rodgers is the one. So hopefully he does play both games. It would just be my luck, right, for Morgan Rogers to finally get benched in one of these games as soon as I bring him in. But yeah, at the moment it does look like Morgan Rogers will be the guy that I bring in. But yeah, listen, anyway, that is enough on that. Let's go ahead and have a look at my team selection for Game Week 33. Alright guys, so first things first, we will start off with the defence. And of course, assuming that I do go through with the planned transfers, it does mean that I will have Mikel Arteta as my assistant manager. But yeah, in goal, we do have David Raya and then a back 3 of William Saliba, Konate and Cousinov. William Saliba, David Raya, double Arsenal defence, I'm pretty happy with, even though they've been stinking up the place recently, even though they somehow find a way to concede. On a performance level, on a performance basis, they have been playing pretty well, especially from a defensive point of view. Like, they've been really minimising the opposition teams from creating a lot of chances. And I do feel like they do deserve a clean sheet, so hopefully that will come. But yeah, I'm confident with Ray getting a start. I'm confident with Saliba getting a start in both games. So yeah, man, hopefully they get the job done, because they certainly do deserve a clean sheet, man. I think their defensive data in recent games has been very, very good as well. So yeah, man, hopefully Ray and Saliba can pull through with a couple of clean sheets there. We also do have Konate against Leicester away. It's not a double game week, but it certainly is a very, very good fixture on paper. We know how poor Leicester are in front of goal, even though they managed to score 2 goals in the last game against Brighton, right? Overall, in like the last 8 or 9 game weeks, they've not been scoring a single goal, right? I think they went 7 or 8 games in a row without scoring. So we know that Leicester going forward are really, really poor. So yeah, I do expect Konate to get a clean sheet in this game. So hopefully he does. And then we do have Cousinov as well. Now, look, Cousinov, I can't lie, this is a very confusing one, man. I keep saying it, like him not getting any minutes in the last 3 games is just baffling to me, because before wildcard 30, when I brought him in, he had about 5 or 6 games in a row of 90 minutes, right? So I don't really know why Cousinov isn't playing, but I'm going to keep him in the team. I'm going to put him in the starting 11 and basically just hope. But also another thing, right? Man City are, the early kickoff in Game Week 33. So I'm hoping that we do get a bit of early team news, maybe a couple leaks here and there. But if we do get sort of any news of Cousinov not being on the bench or not in the squad, then there is a chance that I might start Nico Williams ahead of Cousinov instead. And I've got Nico Williams currently on the bench along with Mikalenko. But yeah, there is a chance there that I do start Nico Williams along with Cousinov. We'll have to wait and see. But if we don't get any leaks before the game, I think I'll just start with Cousinov and just hope and pray that he plays, really. But yeah, again, that is one of many mistakes I made on my Game Week 30 wildcard. I can certainly say that. So yeah, man, we'll have to wait and see. But look, if Cousinov does start, to be honest with you, I don't really trust Man City defence anyway. I think against Everton, wouldn't be surprised if they conceded. Against Villa, I do expect Villa to score as well. So yeah, I don't think I'd actually be missing out on much if Cousinov didn't start. So yeah, realistically, even though it's a single game week, I'm more than happy to play Nico Williams away to Spurs ahead of Cousinov. But for now, Cousinov stays there. So yeah, that is how the back line is looking. But let's move on into the midfield, guys. And yeah, assuming that we do go through with the planned transfers, it means I'll be playing a 3-5-2. So the midfield 5 would be Ismaila Sarr, Phil Foden, Eze, Salah, and of course Morgan Rogers. And then a front 2 of big boy Jean-Philippe Mateta and Omar Marmoush. And that would mean Alexander Isak is on the bench. Now, I'm not going to lie, I don't really feel comfortable with benching Alexander Isak, right? I do feel like he can score against Villa, if I'm being totally honest. And we're going to speak about Isak in a second. But look, we do have the triple Palace attack, right? And I did quickly want to speak about the triple Palace attack because I wouldn't be surprised if they do. Obviously not all three. I don't think all three of them will get benched against Arsenal in the second game. However, I wouldn't be surprised if one or two of these three attackers get benched against Arsenal away, right? Because it is just a few days before an FA Cup semi-final. And to be honest with you, Crystal Palace have had a lot of games recently, right? They played, Man City on the weekend, Newcastle, and then they got a game against Bournemouth, and then again midweek against Arsenal, and then again a game against Aston Villa in the FA Cup semi-final. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is some rotation there. So I'm not really confident with the Crystal Palace attackers. And the reason why I wanted to mention that first is because, man, instead of benching Isak, there is a chance I bench big boy Jean-Philippe Mateta, right? And I didn't think I would be doing that, but I honestly believe, right, if anyone's going to get rotated out of these three attackers, it's going to be Mateta. And that's purely because I feel like Nketiah can just get a start. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Nketiah start against Arsenal. That's honestly what I believe. So there is a chance that I do bench big boy Jean-Philippe Mateta and start Alexander Isak instead. But one thing I do want to mention is Phil Foden. And this is another thing, right? If Phil Foden doesn't seem like he will start both games, or if Phil Foden is still injured, obviously I'm gonna wait till the press conferences because I want to hear what Pep has to say. But if Pep does declare Foden unfit, I've got two choices. I bench Phil Foden and I start Isak instead, or I take a -4 and take out Phil Foden for someone else. Who that will be, I'm not really sure. Possibly Kevin De Bruyne, but can I trust Kevin De Bruyne to start both games? I'm not really too sure. But ideally, I think the main thing for me would be, the problem is I don't think, I would be happy to bench Foden and start Isak and just run a 3-4-3. However, I don't think Mateta will play both games, which is why I do think there's a possibility I could take a -4. But yeah, long story short, I do think my team has quite a few issues, right? I'm not going to lie. It does have quite a few issues, but I'm going to wait for the press conferences to sort of make a finalised decision. But yeah, don't be surprised if you do see Isak come into the starting 11 for big boy Jean-Philippe Mateta. Don't be surprised if I end up taking out Phil Foden for a -4. Like, these things are certainly possibilities, and it could happen. Obviously, I've not done anything yet. As I said, I'm just waiting for the press conferences. But yeah, all in all, the team does have quite a few issues. But yeah, another thing I wanted to speak about, though, is my captain, right? I think captain this week, I think a lot of people are going to be captaining different players, and there's even an argument to captain Mohamed Salah, even though he's only got a single game week, but it is against Leicester away. However, I'm not going to be going for Mohamed Salah. I'm going to be going for Omar Marmoush, right? He is going to be my captain. For me, it's just, I don't think Everton away is the easiest game. On paper, I do quite like Aston Villa at home. I think that's quite a decent game for Man City, but overall, it's not an amazing double. Right, it's not an amazing double. However, on the eye test, what I've seen from Marmoush lately, it's impressed me a lot, man. He's just so involved, and I feel like he's been quite unlucky, right? Quite unlucky to not get more returns than he has got in the last few game weeks. I mean, the game against Crystal Palace, he should have walked away from that game with like 2 or 3 goals, if I'm being honest with you. The game against Leicester, again, he should have walked away from that game with 2 or 3 goals. So I think he's just so involved. He always look like, he's going to be involved in the goals and assists for Man City, right? So with that being said, I think Marmoush is just the one for me. It really is just an eye test thing and what I've observed from Marmoush and from Man City. So yeah, man, I think Marmoush for me, he is going to be my captain, man. I just don't think I can captain Mohamed Salah, who's only got 1 game, ahead of Marmoush, who's so involved, who's got a double game week. I just don't think I can do it. I don't actually think the Aston Villa defence is strong. Look, Everton defence is a little bit better in my opinion. We know that they're going to play it, very, very deep. But even then, I just think in the form that Man City are in the form that Marmoush is in, he can find a way to score against that Everton side. So for me, I'm going to captain Marmoush. I think he is clearly, for me anyway, the best captain pick. Other than Marmoush, I would probably say Salah's the second best. I wouldn't be going for any Crystal Palace attacker captain. I wouldn't be going for Ollie Watkins. You could say Morgan Rogers, but I wouldn't be going for Morgan Rogers captain. I actually do think Marmoush, if I had to rank the captain choices this week, I'd probably say Marmoush, Mohamed Salah and Morgan Rogers. That would be my 3. But yeah, Marmoush is going to be my captain this week. So hopefully he gets the job done. Hopefully he does cook. But yeah, overall, that is how the team is looking. Of course, it isn't finalised, and of course, it could change a lot, right? It could change. Isak could come into the starting 11 for big boy Jean-Philippe Mateta. I might end up taking out Phil Foden for a hit, but realistically, they're like the only 2 changes that I'll make, and of course, Nico Williams for Cousinov. So yeah, 3 possible changes to the starting 11 from what you're seeing now. Could happen. But yeah, all in all, that's how the team is looking. I'm hoping for another green arrow. In fact, I'm hoping for a massive green arrow. I need it. I really do need a big green arrow. So hopefully we can get it this week, man, because as I've been saying, bro, time is ticking. There's only like 5 or 6 games left for Premier League teams to play. So yeah, there's not long left to go now. Hopefully we can make it into the top 100k, but yeah, time is running out, man. So I need a big green arrow. But thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Yeah, man, smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell as well so you never miss an upload. And yeah, it's been your boy FPL Ryan, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. But until then, I'm out. Peace.